please give Marco a big App Promotion Summit Berlin, App Advertising Zone, virtual welcome to the stage. Over to you, Marco.
Thanks a lot, James, and thanks everybody for joining. It's really a pleasure. Maybe before starting, really short about myself. My name is Marco. I've been working for Flixbus for more than 3 years now, and I cover the position of a growth marketing manager. So like most of you guys, I have mobile marketing background. My current role is also covering mobile acquisition, but also mobile retention part. And what I wanted to show you today, it's basically an overview on what happened to our company during 2020. So as you may know and might notice, Flixbus is a travel company. And as you can imagine, 2020 was a pretty different year from the others, actually. We had to face a lot of challenges, and these challenges forced us to review our business and also find unconventional solutions to some problems. And today I want to share with you those solutions, hoping that can be a source of inspiration or ideas, even if we are working in different sectors. Cool. So Flixbus, what is it? For the people that don't know us, we are a mobility provider. We operate since 2013, and our objective is to change the way millions of people are traveling. We have also an app, and you can do pretty much everything related to your trip. Search for it, book a ticket, store your ticket, also get exclusive promotions, and so on and so forth. Before starting, I want to spend a couple of words also on what was happening before Corona. Flixbus was successfully expanding in two directions. One direction were the markets. We were, for example, planning new market expansions, also overseas. We were consolidating our presence in the US market, but also gaining more market share in Europe. And the other direction where we were expanding was basically the product direction. So we were consolidating also our train products in multiple countries, and also our car alternative that is called FlixCar. But then Corona came, as you know, and in March 2020, we had to stop our first bus line. And this went on, and you know the story basically. We had a really short summer break where our lines were active again. And in November, we had to do some more reductions. As you can see, for example, some of our networks were hibernated. Other countries were also set to low traffic. Now we are in December. We are also in full ramp up. So it has been a lot of up and downs. And as you can see, this whole thing is not about turning off the business, but ramping down and up in a really fast way. So our bus offer is going along with the lockdowns. So for example, if in some countries there is no possibility to travel, we need to reduce our network and also our mobile marketing activities. And in some others, for example, we need to re-expand the network and marketing, since maybe the government decided to reduce the measures. And this was happening on a day-to-day basis. So for us, it was a lot of work. Basically, we had to re-shrink and readapt the business every time. Plus, for doing this, we needed also more workforce. And of course, the amount of effort that we can dedicate is really limited. So we had to plan every action really wisely in order to not waste time. So what we needed in 2020 was actually data-driven and fast actions. And basically, this was one of the most challenging tasks that we ever faced. So in order to survive, we had to quickly adapt to this situation. We kind of lived by this motto. And now we will see together how we did it across different cases. It's like the agenda of today, basically. So first points, we're gonna see how we can save cost and time by avoiding to repeat some tasks over and over. So the keyword in the first points will be automation. We had to automate tasks that the manager were doing every day and make them focus to something else, something more efficient. Second part is that all the time that we save automating tasks will be dedicated to kickstart new activities, make the business and the mobile business survive. So this will be, let's start maybe with the campaigns, how we tackle them. So regarding campaign automation, this was the vision that we had. Beginning of 2020, this was like a nice and fancy plan in our roadmap. We planned to do it in the full year, but when Corona came, we had to execute it in like a couple of months. So the objective was that we wanted to connect what was happening outside with our marketing activities. So if something will change externally, like for example, a new lockdown in one region or in a country is possible to travel again, our mobile marketing campaigns were automatically adapting. So the thing is that the number of buses that are in the street are changing according to the travel permissions, of course. But marketing and mobile marketing was completely static. So every day, the managers had to check the bus offer, check the budget, the conversion rate of all the mobile campaigns, the channels, take decisions, and then make the adjustments. And this was really, really time consuming. So we wanted a machine to do it for us. How did we accomplish that? Basically, like the example shows, let's say that today in Portugal, it's possible to travel again. So we plan to increase more the offer. More buses on the street, basically. And maybe the relation Munich-Berlin is currently suspended. How can we reflect this to our strategy? First step that we took was basically to create a product score. So in our case, for us, every product is a bus relation. For example, a Porto, Lisbon. The score is created with a mix of business KPIs based on offer and demand. So we have, for example, more bus rides in Portugal. The score for Portuguese relation is increasing. We see that Porto Lisbon is maybe bringing more money when it's advertised in a particular channel, like display channels. Cool, the score is increasing. A changing conversion rate in search ads, score is changing. Or maybe there is a travel ban in Germany, the score for German relation is decreasing. Every day, the score was updating, and then we were able to sorting our product by importance. The second part of this is the automation itself. So once we know which relations can be advertised, we need then to edit our campaigns. So for this, we do it in a different way for every channel. So in our example, let's assume that Porto, Lisbon was mainly booked by people living in Portugal. Therefore, we want to change the targeting of our campaigns and target people in Porto. Luckily, channels like Facebook and Google UAC, they offer the possibility to connect to an API and edit the campaigns. So we did this through a Python script. So every day we were running the Python script, and the script was checking the score, connecting to the different API, and then changing the targeting. So the managers do not have to spend time in doing this, in editing campaigns every day. We are doing it like through the API. The same approach goes also for search campaigns. So the score that we have in every product can kind of act as a proxy for budget and bidding. So the higher the score is, the more we can invest. So for our example, we will check all the keywords related to Porto and increase our bid effort, always following the score. And on the other hand, we will be less aggressive on German keywords like Munich, Berlin. Cool, these were searches. Then there is the latest part that is basically display. So in our automation plan, we need to think that also there are some channels that don't offer the same possibility of automation. Sometimes they don't even have an interface, and the only possibility to change targeting and budget is just by communicating with the account manager. So the only possibility here for us was automating email messages. Of course, the frequency will not be as granular as the other channels, as Facebook, as Google, as search, but we can also automate this part. Looking at the bigger picture now, what's the advantage of all of this? If, for example, we receive an information that today and then on Monday, our buses will be cut due to a lockdown, our mobile marketing strategy is automatically shrinking in the smartest way possible. Cool. So the second part that we saw before was basically how we handle communications. So for us, it's extremely important to reduce time between the new regulations and when the new regulation takes place and when the user, the customer can act. So the communication needs to be perfectly orchestrated between all the channels. The general idea is that we don't want to spam our customers. So we need to reduce the amount of messages to the most effective one and the most relevant to the user. So for this, we want to inform our users about new connection only if it's necessary. So we aim to do it, and in order to do it, we need to gather data and use it for the right communication. So in Flixbus, we don't always ask for the user city, or at least it's not mandatory. So we need to assume the user city by looking at other KPIs, like at past trips, searches, or even tracking information from tracking partner, for example. But it's not always said that we get this information from tracking or MMP, for example. Once we are sure that the user is coming from a particular city, we can segment it and send the communication. So in this example, we see that in Porto it's possible to travel again. So we can shoot a push notification to the people and when we believe that these people are interested into it. This was basically the communication. But before closing it, I also want to mention that automated messages were also used inside the company. So every time a script is running, we are sending also automated Teams messages in our chat to keep everything monitored in a kind of safe way. And we saw actually really huge benefits from it in order to save time. The third part is creatives. So most important, the effect of the creatives that we are using. In our case, but I'm sure that also for most of you guys, we saw that creatives that are tailored to specific products can increase some specific KPIs. We saw an increase in click-through rate, but also in more lower funnel KPIs like conversion rate and decrease in cost per install. But in our case, we have more than 30,000 relations and 3,000 cities. So it's basically impossible for us to produce manually enough images for each of those products. So due to this, we had to focus on an automation. What we did was basically split the work between two parts, the creative team part and the marketing team part. The creative team was responsible to come up with new designs and as an output, a video template or an image template. And on the other side, we use the template to produce 1,000 videos and images that can be used to target dynamically the users. So also here, we use mainly Python libraries in order to create dynamically the videos every day. And then the result was basically like a final video that we can use in our advertising. During the ramp up, the user were seeing customized videos like this one based on different variables. So we knew the city where they were and which travel possibilities are from that city. And from there, we were able to produce a short video like this one, showing the different inspiration. Every time we were refreshing the script, the connection that were not available anymore were removed from the video. And this kind of helped us in order to avoid that the user was seeing something interesting, click in, but then was not able to purchase it. Cool. This was the last part of the automation. So the most important thing is now define what's the effect of this. So measure the effect of automation. There are different methods. One that we use the most and kind of the easiest was to calculate the time saved doing tasks. So on top of that, we should also not forget about secondary things like some automations were actually also increasing the quality of the ads, like the creatives that we saw before. We saw increasing in conversion rate and other values. Secondary to this, also to check the quality of the automation was also cool to see the amount of money that we were saving, especially due to late optimization. What do I mean by late optimization? Sometimes the product was not available, people were clicking, we were still advertising it, paying money for it, so we were losing money. And so we can also measure the effectiveness by checking the amount of money that we would have lost. Regarding the time, this is an estimation of how much we are focusing on single task. And the most important for us was to free up the time of our managers, free up their schedule, and so with more time in their hands, they could dedicate themselves to new activities. Before showing you to which activities activities they undertook, I wanted to ask you an opinion through a poll. There should be a poll on Swapcard, and I wanted to ask you, if you have to pick up one marketing component from your marketing strategy and automate it, which one of those will bring the highest value? Now, there is actually a poll in your app. You can comment it. I already have an idea on what you will choose, and we will check the answers. I will maybe give 1 minute since I'm probably 20 seconds ahead of you. In the meantime that I wait, I can maybe share my opinion. In our case, let's say that the highest value was brought by creative, also because it was easier to measure, but was also the most, it required the most effort, actually. Also automating everything internally, creating our own tool was actually pretty much hard to do and long. Whereas like doing something with targeting and budget was something that we iterated. So also small improvements were immediate. Instead for developing a creative tool, it's something different. I don't see any answers for now. Oh no, yeah. Let me see if I can check out the answers. Yeah, I see at the moment 20 answers, and we have 40% campaign targeting and budget and 40% creatives, and only 30% for communication. Probably I can say that 20% for communication is because there are already pretty much a lot of really valid tools that can automate campaigns. I will leave the poll open and go on, and then maybe we can check it at the end. Cool. So we talked about automation and we talked about saving time. Now let's talk about what we did with the time that we saved. We had, as you can imagine, for long periods in 2020, 0 buses on the street. The main problem is that we still had to make money, and we also had to stay in the customer mind. So in order to do that, we had to kickstart new business ideas, and I wanted to show mainly how we did it more than what we did. First of all, we had to reorganize our way of working. So we needed to be flexible and fast. For this, every time we wanted to start something new, a new project, we assembled different task forces with people coming from various teams. The objective was to create special products to launch in the market. So every task force had people coming from different parts of the company, can be business, marketing, developers, mobile developers, but also legal, and come up with an idea. This is my favorite example. It's called FlixDeal. Basically, the idea was to sell discounted voucher. So basically pay now to reveal later, something like this. I'm a big fan of this idea, but I'm more fan about how this was executed. So we created a mobile-friendly page to sell it. We involved UX professional to optimize it. We involved mobile tracking people to track the mobile events, legal also for the voucher, and customer service. Once we received the okay from the legal person, the developer started creating the page. The mobile CRM manager started analyzing the customer behavior and come up with voucher values. UX managers created the tracking, and then we started optimizing once the page was accessible. We pushed, and actually just 20 days later, we were live with this product on the market with a mobile web campaign ready for 20 million customers. This was it. Once a business idea, it's up and running, we can also go back to the automation part and kind of optimizing, use what the technologies and the tools that we saw before. We can support it with more data, more automation. So regarding the 3 points, they can also happen here. First, targeting. So one idea, for example, for this project is to give discounts to the cities that will have the highest score in the future. So if soon will be possible to travel again in Germany, for example, we might push this offer more there in order to increase the number of sales. Communication-wise, we can forward a push notification message to the user that are in the cities that are currently covered by this promotion, not all of them. And for mobile creatives, we might use the templates that we saw beforehand and then change the task, explaining what's the offer about. And also, if you want to start new channels, or particular type of formats, things like this, we can do it with our tool. The whole process is a kind of cycle. So first, we test the new business. If it's good, we scale it, and then we automate the task behind in order to free up more time. This was the final part. I wanted to conclude with this. So before the questions, this was basically the main learning that we had in 2020. So scaling things like scaling up and down the business, doing it at a crazy speed, coordinating channels. All of this was actually taking us to the next level and also get to know ourselves as a company. Even if you grow so much, now I will always remember that the external factor can have a really big impact in the business. And yeah, I would say that Corona brought us to overcome the boundaries. And without this, probably we would not have made these steps in technology and in terms of development. This was it. I guess for the final part, we can hand over to the questions, and feel free to write them down. Okay, let's see. There are already some questions, so maybe also James will connect. What tools platform did you use for the dynamic creatives? So at the beginning, we relied on free tools, actually, on free tools online. I don't remember the name, but just to create images, something like Figma, but it was just to like crop the images. Then everything was done on Python. Basically, I saw also a question after regarding also Python. Did you know Python yourself or rely on the developer team? Basically, my team is kind of a hybrid between IT and marketing. I know Python myself. I learned the basics, and the codes that we are using are they are not extremely complicated. So once you come up with an idea, you can make an MVP yourself and then ask support for the IT team. Of course, you guys, you know better than me, if you want to involve more people, IT team, it's always better to like develop a solid business case for this. But having like Python courses also for marketing managers, it's something that I really, really recommend. I see other questions. Platform we're using for the push notification automations. So at the moment, we want to unify everything. And as I mentioned before, if I mentioned it before, we are using Salesforce because we are also are pretty strong in emails. We are sending a lot of emails. So we want to unify everything. Maybe a quick note on this. Probably also most of you guys have like ended up in a situation like mine where you have like kind of unclear tracking system between mobile and web. So this is also something that doesn't need to be underestimated. So having a unique tracking platform is also something important. Then we have this is a really cool question. Aren't automated creatives also a risk to creatives who are too generic? So the whole scope of this was basically also free to automate creatives is to free up time to the creative team. So instead of making them doing like you know a kind of production work on just creating different stuff, they can also come up with new templates. So they can be also more vary, but too generic it can be, yes, but you need also to think about the customer. So our customer are really interested in to go from point A to point B. So they're really interested about, okay, where I can go from my city. So already having price, name, and an image showing the destination was enough. The next iteration is, of course, making more variation. Yeah, please, James, guys, tell me.
Yeah, well, I'd love to carry. I've got quite a few questions myself, but we're butting up against the next session. Unfortunately, I can't ask you over lunch this time either. So, but yeah, I thought it's great how you've used this, you know, tough times to innovate and come up with this amazing new systems and processes and automation, which no doubt is going to help in 2021 as hopefully things get improve. And it's amazing to see, yeah, the innovation that's been spurred by all this. And, you know, I think, yeah, the whole app sector should be proud of how they've responded to this and managed to grow, you know, even and help people, you know, even when everyone's been working from home and had to deal with all this stuff like that's been thrown at you. So yeah, I think, you know, hats off to you for doing such a great job. And yeah.
Thank you, James.
Yeah,
and thanks everybody for joining them. You can reach me out on LinkedIn if you have other questions. I saw that were some.
Great. Okay, well, maybe you can drop into the chat Marco, after this. But yeah, I really hope we can see you one of our events next year, hopefully in person. And I'd love to hear what you do next.
Sure, fingers crossed.
Great.
So see you next year, guys.
Thanks.